So any thoughts on kind of the expertise that's in those robotics companies in applying and kind of making sure that you can still do the job with or without that cloud connectivity? Is that still a work in progress?
Well, I can't speak much to how well they might do or not do their cloud connectivity. Certainly all of this data is finding its way up into the cloud. This is, in a lot of cases, it's valuable maintenance data. In a lot of cases, it could be regulatory reporting data, product quality data. So all this kind of, and that all tends to be transactional data, right? It's not real time, right, control data. So this data is finding its way up into the cloud. I think one of the things you have to consider, when you're looking at these different classes of suppliers is what their level of security is, right? So, as an analyst that also works on the cybersecurity side of our business at ARC, which focuses pretty much exclusively on the OT side of cybersecurity, I would say that's definitely a dimension that you want to use to evaluate your supplier. Supplier selection is a really important part of this whole thing. I think if you're going to evaluate any of these different suppliers, if you don't have several, key cyber selection related selection criteria, you're obviously making a huge mistake. And you need to know what their cloud security is going to be and who their cloud partners are, and all of that really. And then that brings us, we could probably talk for an hour about supply chain, cybersecurity, how well you should trust your partners. And that is something that we can help people, we can advise people on is, what are some of the things that you should look for, in terms of a good security posture for any potential supplier. So definitely something to consider there.
Great. Now, I cut you off. You were about to dig deeper, I think.
I was going to dig a little bit deeper into some of these different supplier categories and just give some examples of how AI is actually being used.
And that may answer my previous question. So let's maybe look at those and talk about each category.
Complexities regarding architecture and things like that, but I think it's important to know where some of these things are being used. I wanted to start with CCTV and video surveillance because that really is kind of the leading application right now. So many suppliers are increasingly integrating multiple functions for CCTV and employee health and safety. And surveillance and also access control into a single industrial Internet of Things enabled kind of environment, right? And that's particularly true for access control systems. I know we're seeing a lot of our customers in the heavy process industries. Access control is really important for a lot of these companies. You don't want the wrong people not only getting into your facility by breaching the perimeter, but, if you're doing a maintenance turnaround at a refinery, for example, and you have hundreds of contractors, walking around on your site, right? You want to maybe put in some geofencing applications and make sure that workers are only in the areas that they're supposed to be designated in. And if they're there, then they also have to wear the proper protective equipment, right? And all this kind of stuff. It's all kind of integrated now. And that's what we're seeing. These analytics are being applied towards this unified view of what's going on, to provide a more holistic picture of what's happening. And CCTV is probably the most obvious example of how that's being done right now. However, a lot of these suppliers, that are offering CCTV and surveillance solutions, they don't have any expertise in process monitoring or remote inspection or anything.
I was going to ask about that because a lot of the existing use cases I think of are probably more retail focused, where you've been doing shopper analytics and traffic monitoring and loss prevention kind of in retail use cases. It's been there for quite a long time. So I was intrigued as you kind of jumped into this about the domain expertise, right? So, and I can just think about how much more complex a refinery, which, they can be many square miles of equipment, right? And as you say, lots of complex unit operations, and you've got safety, health, security, maintenance use cases.
So a typical CCTV and access control supplier, they might tell you, you have a blocked emergency exit, or you have people loitering in areas where they shouldn't be, or maybe you have, I'm looking at a slide right now from Bosch, okay, for example, and these are some of the things that do with CCTV, left and removed object detection, person detection, so the people are in the right place, railway crossings, worker safety. If I'm in a warehouse, I have to monitor how the workers are using the various forklifts and pickers and things like that. But not so much on the process monitoring side, right? So that's where, some of this discussion of providing an integrated AI and analytics-based solution across your entire spectrum of computer vision applications starts to be kind of an attractive proposition for a lot of end users, right? And end users are starting to think about this right now. And there is a business value proposition behind this too. I mean, if you want to take a more unified approach to, applying AI and analytics to all of your computer vision applications on a unified platform, some of the users we've spoken with say they expect, 10 to 15% reductions in security and monitoring expenses. Maybe overall safer operations, fewer accidents, right? I mean, incidents and accidents cost manufacturers huge amounts of money, never mind the most important thing, which is, harm to the people and the workers that are in the plant. Everybody should go home safe at the end of the day at a plant. You can do things like automate encroachment detection, allow security personnel to take more proactive steps, right, to manage any kind of an emerging situation. You can improve your compliance, and just overall improve your data gathering capabilities. So the bottom line is you can actually, reduce your costs, by providing a more integrated approach to applying this AI and analytics to all of your computer vision applications. But I think the point is with this kind of very varied, environment of suppliers, you really have to be careful about who you're looking at and who you want to pick as a supplier. So CCTV.
And you're talking about CCTV, I think was this category that we got into, and a lot of the use cases may span, other categories clearly. So CCTV, what are they, is it linked to proprietary hardware? Is it, you've got to use their TV to basically get these capabilities? Is that how we should think about this segment?
These are becoming more open, I think. Okay. A lot of suppliers and vendors are offering solutions that can work on just about anybody's camera. And I think that's even the case with the CCTV suppliers. I mean, they don't want to be limited to their own hardware. I think that's probably more likely when you're looking at the robotic and drone inspection providers. Their video AI and analytics tend to be more directly coupled with their equipment, and in my opinion, they'll probably be the last to break out, as far as like decoupling, the hardware from the software, right? And I think this is a natural evolution that we see a lot of times in the industrial marketplace. You have these products that are, highly proprietary, and the proprietary software is embedded into the hardware. And then over time, more open technologies develop, and gradually the software can be decoupled from this proprietary hardware, and it can be applied to a much wider range of products, through various APIs and so forth. And, we're already seeing that.
And you may be jumping ahead to kind of one of the later questions I kind of want to ask you, which is, how should end users approach this? Maybe you should still get deeper into the other segments of the market. You've kind of got into the CCTV.
Yeah, so I will. And I wanted to start with these hyperscalers, right, because they are doing this. So you have Amazon Recognition, which is a cloud-based service that offers a wide range of image and video analysis capabilities that you can apply to all kinds of equipment. You have Microsoft Azure AI Vision, which is a cloud-based service that provides a huge variety of computer vision APIs, including object detection. It can classify objects and images and videos and generate captions and visual features. You have Google Cloud Vision AI, right? Another cloud-based API that offers image detection features for a wide range of things. This requires a little bit more of a solution, putting a solution together, right? I mean, they're the hyperscalers aren't going to provide you with a packaged industrial solution, right out of the box. So in a lot of cases, you have to apply this to specific vendor products, and with the aid of with a solution provider or systems integrator, put that solution together. The CCTV-centric suppliers. So that's where we have companies like Bosch and Hikvision and Honeywell.
You didn't mention AWS. I mean, we shouldn't forget AWS in that mix of
and that was
hyperscalers.
Recognition. Right. That was actually the first one that I mentioned, which is a really interesting one because I was reading about this the other day, and they are working with hang on a second, I'll have this up in 1 second here. They're working with a leading power company, and I'm sure you've heard about all these issues with trying to clear brush out of the way, right, with high voltage transmission lines, and it's been the cause of many wildfires in the California area and so forth. So one of the good examples I've seen from them is they're working with a California power provider to sort through millions of video images of brush and obstructions that exist under these high tension lines, so they can specifically target, where do we go first with this? We really have to go address this area first. It's a potential fire hazard. So that's allowing them to a lot more effectively, address things like that. So that's your
I think the real reason I wanted to make sure we kind of covered all the hyperscalers was obviously there's a lot of partnerships that kind of Siemens with AWS, for example, may well be using their vision APIs, and similarly a lot of the traditional shop floor factory partners may be leveraging Microsoft's AI vision, right? And so there are some crossovers there that I want to make sure people don't cross one of those off the list for some reason. They need to understand the dynamics.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And they are partnering a lot with the industrial suppliers, as well. So, more than likely you could find some kind of a solution that has that embedded from one of the leading suppliers. This was SDGE. I think San Diego Gas and Electric was using this particular application to analyze the images to detect asset damage and trim trees and so forth. So those are the hyperscalers. There's a lot to look into there. If you look at the suppliers of video analytics and CCTV centric in a CCTV centric way. That's where you have Bosch and Hikvision and Honeywell, for example, with Honeywell Video Manager. Larson and Toubro Technology Services, right? LTTS, they're using IE Analytics with their IBEMS system. So a lot of, and that's just a small list. I mean, there's a lot more suppliers out there doing CCTV stuff. And applying this. But, as I mentioned before, not a lot of this tends to be focused on the process, right, or the quality of a product. It's more, detecting people that shouldn't be in certain places, or making sure people are implementing the proper safety measures and things like that. Then we have the robotic and drone inspection providers. That includes companies like S&P Robotics, and of course everybody's familiar with Boston Dynamics, right, and the robot dogs and all that stuff. They actually have a really good visual inspection solution. We have Baker Hughes Waygate Technologies. They have a thing called the Bike Platform, right, which is a magnetic wheeled robot capable of inspecting power plant facilities and oil and gas industry facilities and stuff. So this is more of a remote inspection kind of thing, where they're, implementing AI in their video inspections. Then we have Aerodyne and Volatus. We actually have a couple of market research studies at ARC that go into these products. In general, we don't see them branching out a lot outside of what they're doing now. They're really focused a lot on the robotics and the drones, and how that software can work with the sensors that they have in those robotics and drones. They're not really thinking so much about what other people are doing in other markets.